Hare Krishna. Somebody can please lead the invocation prayers.
Prabhuji, can I?
Yeah, Malti, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Om Gyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Urmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utpadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnamascha Shri Rupa Sadvajatam Sahagana Lalita Vishakhanvitam Sadvaitam Saudutam Parijanya Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhamvitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopise Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Sapta Kanta Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishbhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Haripriye वंशकल्पतरुपश्च कृपा सिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Excellent. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming. So today we will cover Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 3, and then I will also answer inquiries submitted by the devotees. First, a quick announcement that tomorrow, December 1st, Monday, is the auspicious Gita Jayanti Day, where almost all ISKCON temples do the reading of entire Bhagavad Gita. So I request all of you to please join the reading of entire Bhagavad Gita on this auspicious Gita Jayanti Day, tomorrow, Monday, December 1st. At the Toronto Temple, it's gonna be from around 6 p.m. to around 9 p.m. So either in person or virtually, whichever way works at your respective temples, please do join the reading. For those of you who want to join virtually, you just have to look up, say, ISKCON Toronto on YouTube, and the link just gets posted very close to the start. So you can just look it up by yourself as well. Everybody can do that, please.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Very good. So you had some questions to answer from last class, although many of you have submitted the answers on the Google form as well. Anybody wants to quickly describe the question and the answers?
Prabhuji, may I try this one, please?
Yeah.
How does one purify polluted aim of life? Human being is requested to get his necessities only into the proper channel. No need to create comforts of life. Live a simple life and use the time in high thinking, sufficiently hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. People will be able to live peaceful life of knowledge and bliss. This is my understanding.
Okay, very good. What else? I had another question also. Somebody, many of you did submit the answer on Google form.
Prabhuji, question 2?
Yeah.
Okay, the question 2, I think I submitted the analogy, but the answer is by process of bhakti yoga and taking a correct knowledge as it is and renunciation And so by that we can find the things which are not at all unnecessary, and when the conditions so
which are not necessary.
which are not necessary, the conditioned soul find the after finding the culture of knowledge and the material necessity are unwanted things, automatically the soul get detached from unwanted thing and called vairagya. And even Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also clearly mentioned that by meditating on the Lord feet, we can slowly we can detach.
Okay, very good. Right, so analogy is given that just as when we eat and we feel satisfied, that our hunger is satisfied, similarly by bhakti yoga, one can see for himself that how the material desires, the sex desires, is diminishing day by day. So the solution to get out of material entanglement is bhakti yoga, that you get knowledge and detachment as a byproduct of bhakti. Very good. So let's continue with Canto 2, chapter 3. So just a recap of where we are, that at end of Canto 1, Parikshit Maharaj asked, what is duty of all people in general, and in particular, one who is about to die? In response, Sukadeva Goswami is beginning, in the beginning of Canto 2, says that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is in the heart as Super Soul, should be remembered, should be the object of our life. Devotional service should be the object of our life. And Sukadeva Goswami further goes on to describe how to do devotional services. He explained that the importance of relevance of accepting minimum necessities in life by a devotee to live a simple life and spend more time on high thinking. So Sukadeva Goswami gave the instant process of liberation as well as the gradual process of liberation. In the instant process, you fix your mind on universal form, free from material contamination, fix the mind on the Vishnu in the heart, then you will attain perfection. And those who perform devotional services directly, they can penetrate the coverings of the universe and just go back home to the spiritual world. In the gradual process, there are different destinations that those desiring to see other planetary systems of entities in heaven, that how they are enjoying, or there are others who want to attain some siddhis, or some others wanting to go to Brahma Loka. So this is gradual process that they first go to these in-between destinations, and depending on their sadhana at those destinations, they can attain spiritual world also. But we discussed that heaven is very toxic for the soul. If they don't attain perfection in those in-between destination planets, then generally they end up becoming controlling demigods, or they have some managerial position because they are elevated to a certain extent, just not fully elevated. So some others who do devotional service rigidly, they can also get liberated at the end of Brahmaji's life when there is full annihilation. By hearing scriptures from pure devotee, such as Sukadeva Goswami, devotion will be awakened and affinity to hear more about the activities and pastimes of Supreme Personality of Godhead will increase. Now, in Canto 2, Chapter 3, Sukadeva Goswami further describes how to do devotional service. Therefore, Chapter 3 is titled Pure Devotional Service, the Change in Heart. In this Chapter 3, Sukadeva Goswami discusses pure devotional service, how person engages in devotional service, and the destination and the practices of pure devotional service is also described. Now, even prior to this chapter 3, Sukadeva Goswami has discussed the importance of devotional service. And the same point is discussed again in chapter 3 because people are attached to material things. Towards the end of the class today, we will have a brief discussion on this point as well about material attachments as a separate conversation. And introduction to chapter 3, Sridhar Swami, a prominent acharya, says, in this world, people are attached to children, spouse, wealth, material possessions. When one is engaged in worship of demigods, then one gets temporary and insignificant benedictions. So what's the point? Therefore, focus on devotional service to attain eternal destination of spiritual world. Chapter 3 is divided into two parts. Part 1 is verses 1 to 12. Demigod worship versus pure devotional service. Part 2, verses 13 to 25. Sonaka Rishi inquires more because he wants to hear more Krishna Katha. Archana, verse number 1 translation.
Prabhuji, I'm doing service. Can I read little later, please?
Yeah. Divya, verse number 1.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Just the translation.
Correct.
Text 1. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, Maharaja Parikshit, as you have inquired from me as to the duty of the intelligent man who is on the threshold of death, so I have answered you.
So Parikshit Maharaj has inquired already as to what a person should do for one who is about to die. In response, Sukadeva Goswami has said that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is in the heart as Super Soul, should be remembered, should be the object of our life, and devotional service should be the object of our life. Verses 2 to 7 discusses what people in general in the material world are engaged in worshipping other personalities such as demigods. So this is also the answer to Parikshit Maharaj's question, what a person should not do. Meaning he should not worship demigods. Devotees, they engage in devotional service, while other people in the material world, they worship demigods. So Sridhar Swami says that some humans have less intelligence because they are wanting temporary benedictions of this material world. Therefore, they worship demigods. So verses 2 to 7 are stacked together verses. Pretty long verse. This verse explains how worship of different demigods, one fulfills his different desires. Nitya, 2 to 7 translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Text 2 to 7. One who desires to be absorbed in the impersonal Brahmajyoti effulgence should worship the master of the Vedas, Lord Brahma or Brihaspati, the learned priest. One who desires powerful sex should worship the heavenly king Indra, and one who desires good progeny should worship the great progenitors called the Prajapatis. One who desires good fortune should worship Durga Devi, the superintendent of the material world. One desiring to be very powerful should worship fire, and one who aspires only after money should worship the Vyasu. One should worship the Rudra incarnations of Lord Shiva if he wants to be a great hero. One who wants a large stock of grain should worship Aditi. One who desires to attain the heavenly planet should worship the sons of Aditi. One who desires the worldly kingdom should worship Vasudeva. And one who wants to be popular with the general mass of people should worship the Satya demigod. One who desires a long span of life should worship the demigods known as Ashwini Kumaras. And a person desiring a strongly built body should worship the earth. One who desires stability in his course should worship the horizon and the earth combined. One who desires to be beautiful should worship the beautiful residents of the Gandharva planet. And one who desires a good wife should worship the Apsaras and the Urvasi society of girls of the heavenly kingdom. One who desires domination over others should worship Lord Brahma, the head of the universe. One who desires tangible fame should worship the personality of Godhead. And one who desires a good bank balance should worship the demigod Varuna. If one desires to be a greatly learned man, he should worship Lord Shiva. And if one desires a good marital relationship, he should worship the chaste goddess Uma, the wife of Lord Shiva.
So a laundry list is given here of which demigod fulfills which particular desires. None of this is required for all of you. Sukadeva Goswami is just explaining on what not to do. Shivangi.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can you explain who is Ashwini Kumaras? Is it the same as the Sanat Kumaras or is it different?
I don't know right now. We'll park this question. I will look it up and answer it later if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's okay. Thank you.
Nitya.
Prabhu, in this text also it states that one who desires tangible fame should worship the personality of Godhead, and one who desires a worldly kingdom should worship Vasudeva. And we do have it in other texts too, that even those praying with material desire should worship Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? There's mention here of worshipping also Supreme Personality.
Yeah, you are correct. And it will come up in 2 verses down, 2.3.10, that whether you have desires or whether you have no desires, you should worship the Lord. So we have discussed at great length in our demigod worship discussion in Bhagavad Gita that you can and you should get your desires fulfilled by the Lord. The difference between demigod fulfilling and Lord fulfilling is that demigods are fulfilling temporarily. They anyway don't have any ability to fulfill unless Krishna sanctions. So why do you have to go to via route? Plus, when you go to Krishna for getting your material desires fulfilled, then the doors of bhakti are open. So Krishna has said this in Bhagavad Gita 7.16 that 4 kinds of people come to Krishna. And then in 7.18 he goes on to say that all these people are actually magnanimous because they did not go to demigods to fulfill their desires. So yes, you can also fulfill your desires and it's better to fulfill your desires from asking Krishna. Nitya. Shivangi will read 2 to 7 purport. It starts. You can read the whole purport, that's fine.
Hare Krishna, purport. There are many different modes of worship for different persons desiring success in particular subjects. The conditioned soul, living within the purview of the material world, cannot be an expert in every type of materially enjoyable asset, but one can have considerable influence over a particular matter by worshipping a particular demigod, as mentioned above. Ravana was made a very powerful man by worshipping Lord Shiva, and he used to offer severed heads to please Lord Shiva. He became so powerful by the grace of Lord Shiva that all the demigods were afraid of him until he at last challenged the personality of Godhead Sri Ramachandra and thus ruined himself. In other words, all such persons who aspire after gaining some or all of the material objects of enjoyment, or the gross materialistic persons, are on the whole less intelligent as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 7.20. It is said there that those who are bereft of all good sense, or those whose intelligence is withdrawn by the deluding energy of Maya, aspire to achieve all sorts of material enjoyment in life by pleasing the various demigods, or by advancing in material civilization under the heading of scientific progress. The real problem of life in the material world is to solve the question of birth, death, old age, and disease. No one wants to change his birthright, no one wants to meet death, no one wants to be old or invalid, and no one wants diseases. But these problems are solved neither by the grace of any demigod nor by the so-called advancement of material science. In the Bhagavad Gita as well as in the Srimad Bhagavatam, such less intelligent persons have been described as devoid of all good sense. Shukadeva Goswami said that out of 8.4 million species of living entities, the human form of life is rare and valuable, and out of those rare human beings, those who are conscious of the material problems are rarer still, and that still more rare persons are those who are conscious of the value of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which contains the messages of the Lord and his pure devotees. Death is inevitable for everyone, intelligent or foolish, but Parikshit Maharaja has been addressed by the Goswami as Manishi, or the man of highly developed mind, because at the time of death he left all material enjoyment and completely surrendered unto the lotus feet of the Lord by hearing his messages from the right person, Shukadeva Goswami. But aspirations for material enjoyment by endeavoring persons are condemned. Such aspirations are something like the intoxication of the degraded human society. Intelligent persons should try to avoid these aspirations and seek instead the permanent life by returning home back to Godhead. Krishna.
That hammers strong words. He says, material aspirations are like intoxications. And throughout the purport, Prabhupada uses strong words just so that we get shaken up from our default setting of wanting to enjoy in the material world with anything and everything. Every day we have a new desire to enjoy. Questions, comments, realization so far? Matan Prabhu.
So I have a question about the one who wants to be desiring very powerful should worship the fire. So I don't know. I never heard of worshipping fire.
Yeah, so it's there in Bhagavatam. You can worship. So when they say worship fire, it's you are worshipping the personality of fire, the Agni Dev. So if you recall the conversation in Canto 1 from the Mahabharata conversation, that the chariot that Arjuna has, the Gandhiva bow that Arjuna has, and the quiver that he has for the arrows, they were given to him by Agni Dev. And Agni Dev said, this chariot can go anywhere and everywhere. So Arjuna's quiver, which was given to him by Agni Dev also, it has the feature that the arrows will never end. They will keep replenishing by itself because Arjuna shoots so many arrows. So this is the power, not of fire on itself, but it's the personality, Agni Dev, who is who is the personality of fire. That's what you worship to become powerful. Madan Prabhu.
Okay, Hare Krishna, thank you.
Verses 8 and 9 are straightforward. Vimal Prabhu, 8 and 9 translations.
Hare Krishna. Text 8. One should worship Lord Vishnu or his devotee for spiritual advancements in knowledge and for protection of heredity and advancement of a dynasty. One should worship the various demigods. Text 9. One should desire dominations over a kingdom or an empire, should worship the Manus. One should desire victory over an enemy, should worship the demons. And one who desired sense gratification should worship the moon. One who desired nothing of material enjoyment should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
So now the question becomes that I have desires. So who should I worship? And this is explained in 2.3.10. It's a very well-known verse. It's a key memorization verse. So those of you who are practicing memorization, now you can also include Bhagavatam verses in your daily memorization. Together with Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, Shishopanishad verses. So those of you who have seen the Bhoga offering demonstration from my home, the very long video, you have seen I was reciting verses one after the other from all scriptures, including Bhagavatam as well. So you can also try to incorporate. So I will recite 2.3.10 Sanskrit, and then you all can unmute and recite one line after me, please. It's a very easy verse also to remember, and a very beautiful verse also to recite. So 2.3.10. Akama sarva kama va moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajade purusham param. Everybody unmute and recite one line after me, please. Akama sarva kama va
Akama sarva kama va
moksha kama udaradi
moksha
Moksha
kama
kama udaradi
Bhagavati
tivrena bhakti yogena
tivrena bhakti
Yogena
yajate purusham param.
yajate purusham param.
Gauri translation.
A person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of all material desire without any material desire, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme Whole, the Personality of Godhead.
Right, so whether you have no desires, whether you are full of material desires, or whether you want liberation, one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we already discussed this point. This is explained by Sridhar Swami that when demigods are fulfilling my desires, then why do I have to go to Supreme Lord to fulfill my desires? The answer is that when you are worshipping Supreme Lord, that approach is free of disturbances. Demigod worship is not free of disturbances. Plus, demigod worshippers do not attain the highest perfection. Bhagavad Gita 9.25 describes that at best, those who worship demigod can get heaven at best, but heaven is also in the material world a place of misery and is temporary. And then the next point is that asking Supreme Personality of Godhead for devotional service is, of course, the ideal request. Still, even for material desires, go to Supreme Lord. This allows to open the doors of bhakti. Demigod worship does not open the doors of bhakti. Demigod worship is you buy one, you get three free. So what is this buy one, get three free? So you buy another life from demigods, because demigod worship keeps you in the material world, and you get old age, disease, and death as free. Although all four are miseries, janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi. So that's why it recommends that one should worship the Lord. Tivrena, the words we read, says Tivrena, Bhakti Yogina, that by great force, Tivrena means by great force, by full means, one should worship the Supreme Lord. Yajate Purusham Param. Last paragraph, Gauri will read. The paragraph starts with Udaradi.
Udaradi means one who has a broader outlook. People with desires for material enjoyment worship small demigods, and such intelligence is condemned in the Bhagavad Gita 7.20 as Ritagyana, the intelligence of one who has lost his senses. One cannot obtain any results from demigods without getting sanction from the Supreme Lord. Therefore, a person with a broader outlook can see that the ultimate authority is the Lord, even for material benefits. Under circumstances, one with a broader outlook, even with the desire for material enjoyment or for liberation, should take to the worship of the Lord directly. And everyone, whether an akama or sakama or mokshakama, should worship the Lord with great expedience. This implies that bhakti yoga may be perfectly administered without any mixture of karma and jnana. As the unmixed sun ray is very forceful and is therefore called tivra, similarly, unmixed bhakti yoga of hearing, chanting, etc. may be performed by one and all regardless of inner motive. Hare Krishna.
Right, the word Tivrena, Prabhupada also emphasizes. And I already explained that you cannot get benedictions from demigods unless they are sanctioned by the Supreme Lord. So why do you have to go to via route? Questions, comments, realizations? All right. So the result of devotional service is described in verse number 11. Mayank, 11 and 12 translation.
Hare Krishna. All the different kinds of worshippers of multi-demigods can attain the highest perfectional benediction, which is spontaneous attraction, unflinchingly fixed upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by the association of the pure devotee of the Lord. Transcendental knowledge in relation with the Supreme Lord Hari is knowledge resulting in the complete suspension of the waves and whirlpools of the material modes. Such knowledge is self-satisfying due to its being free from material attachment, and being transcendental, it is approved by authorities who could fail to be attracted. Who could fail to be attracted.
All right, so it says that you go on to become a pure devotee and continuously do devotional service. So throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, as well as up to now in Srimad Bhagavatam, devotional service is stressed again and again. This topic of demigod worship versus devotional service ends here in this chapter. Verse number 13, Sonaka Rishi will inquire more with the intention of wanting to hear more Krishna Katha. Chandran Prabhu, 13 and 14 translations.
Hare
Mayank,
Krishna.
hold on, Mayank has a question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So, in verse 11, it says like all the different kinds of worshippers of multi-demigods can attain the highest perfectional benediction uh, by the association of pure devotee of the Lord. So, sorry if I'm trying to understand correctly, even if people who are worshipping demigods, if they are associating with the devotee, they can still get the highest perfection.
So we have discussed this in our Bhagavad Gita demigod worship discussion as part of in chapter 4, that if you still have desire to worship demigods, yes, continue to worship demigods. The difference is when you worship demigods, do not ask for material benediction. Rather, ask for spiritual benediction. So, it's also described in Nectar of Devotion. Prabhupada says, go and worship Ganpati. And people will confuse, oh, I have to worship Ganpati. And Prabhupada goes explains that materialistic people worship Ganesh to remove material miseries. But that's not what you should worship Ganesh for. You should worship Ganesh to remove the hindrances on the path of spirituality. That is appropriate worship of demigod. Or even Shiva. Shiva is also known as Ashutosh, one who's satisfied very easily. So there's a lot of discussion in Srimad Bhagavatam about Shiva. Shiva goes on to say that those who follow Shiva, Shiva does not like. But those who follow Vasudev, Shiva likes them more than his own followers because his followers are looking for material benedictions. While those who worship Vasudev, they are looking for spiritual, eternal benedictions. So therefore, what should be our intent of worshipping demigods is not to satisfy material desires, rather to fulfill spiritual desires of attaining spirituality. Right?
Yeah, got it, Prabhuji. Thank you.
So there's a question posted in the chat that Krishna wants all of us to go back to Godhead. Then why Krishna gave this process of offering worship to demigods and to get material desire fulfilled? Very good. So we also discussed this in our demigod worship discussion, that if you look at the yoga ladder, most people in the material world are below the line, living an animalistic lifestyle. And if you ask them that drop everything and just focus on pure devotional service, he will say, this is not possible. I don't want to get into bhakti. And he will continue his animalistic lifestyle. But if you give him gradual process that, okay, you still have material desires, now follow karma kanda and follow scriptures and get your desires fulfilled in a dharmic way, which will gradually purify you. So the purpose of demigod worship is so that you can meet a pure devotee and start the process of bhakti. Because just directly jumping from animal life to bhakti is difficult. We all have been practicing bhakti for so long, and look at all of us. How difficult it is to stay focused. How difficult it is to get out of material entanglement. So if you ask materialistic people to just drop everything from material desires, they will say, you go away. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
All right. Chandran,
Hare Krishna.
13 and 14 translation.
Text 13, translation. Shaunaka said, the son of Vyasudeva, Srila Sukadeva Goswami, was a highly learned sage and was able to describe things in a poetic manner. What did Maharaja Parikshit again inquire from him after hearing all that he had said? Text 14. O learned Sutta Goswami, please continue to explain such topics to us, because we are all eager to hear. Besides that, topics which result in the discussion of the Lord Hari should certainly be discussed in the assembly of devotees. Hare Krishna.
So straightforward verses. So Sonaka Rishi is wanting to hear more Krishna Katha. Therefore, he's saying what further discussion happened between Parikshit Maharaj and Sukadeva Goswami. So the word Kavi is described in this verse. The Kavi means one who is knowledgeable in Vedas or Shabda Gyan. All right, Matan 15:16 translation.
Hare Krishna. Maharaja Parikshit, the grandson of Pandava, was from his very childhood a great devotee of the Lord. Even while playing with dolls, he used to worship Lord Krishna by imitating the worship of the family deity. 16. Sukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, was also full in transcendental knowledge and was a great devotee of Lord Krishna, son of Vasudeva. So there must have been discussion of Lord Krishna, who is glorified by great philosophers in the company of great devotees.
Straightforward, and in the purport, Prabhupada describes how Parikshit Maharaj, being a pure devotee, was attracted to Krishna from very childhood. And also describes that Sukadeva Goswami is also a pure devotee, always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. So both Parikshit Maharaj and Sukadeva Goswami are on the same level. Although externally it appears that Parikshit Maharaj is a great king, accustomed to royal facilities, while Sukadeva Goswami is a renouncer, a sannyasi. So superficially, Parikshit Maharaj and Sukadeva Goswami might seem opposite, but both are having unalloyed pure devotion. Both are unalloyed pure devotees. Pure devotees like Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj have no other desire than to serve the Lord. When such pure devotees assemble together, there can be no other topic of discussion except the discussion of the glories of the Lord or Bhakti Yoga. Therefore, Sonaka Rishi is asking, there must have been some more Krishna Katha discussion, so please describe that to us. Everybody on the same page?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Archana, you can read now.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu. Just one verse, 17.
Hold on, I will. Yeah, you'll read the. So, verse 17 onwards, analogies described to condemn those who are averse to devotional service. That if you do not take the shelter of Krishna consciousness in human form of life, then you are wasting time and your precious human life. And also discusses how people are uselessly utilizing their senses. Now, as we read through these verses and purports, try to identify what you can apply from these verses. Archana, 17 translation and purport.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Text 17. Both by rising and by setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone, except one who utilizes the time by discussing topic of the all good personality of a Godhead. Purport. This verse indirectly confirms the greater importance of utilizing the human form of life to realize our lost relationship with the Supreme Lord by acceleration of devotional service. Time and the tide wait for no man. So the time indicated by the sunrise and the sunset will be uselessly washed if such time is not properly utilized for realizing identification of spiritual value. Even a fraction of the duration of a life wasted cannot be compensated by any amount of a gold. Human life is simply awarded to a living entity, Jiva, so that he can realize his spiritual identity and his permanent source of happiness. A living being, especially the human being, is seeking happiness because happiness is the natural situation of a living entity. But he is vainly seeking happiness in a material atmosphere. A living being is constitutedly a spiritual spark of a complete whole, and his happiness can be perfectly perceived in a spiritual activity. The Lord is complete spirit, whole, and his name, form, quality, pastime, encourage, and personality are all identical with him. Once a person comes into the contact with any one of above mentioned energies of a Lord through the proper channel of devotional service, the door of perfection is immediately open. In a Bhagavad Gita 2.40, the Lord has explained such contact in the following word: endeavor in the devotional service are never baffled, nor is there failure. A slight beginning of such activity is sufficient even to deliver a person from the great ocean of material fear. As a highly potent drug injected intravenously act at once on the whole body. The transcendental topic of a Lord inject through the ear by the pure devotee of a Lord can act very effectively. Oral realization of a transcendental message impel totally realization, just as a fructification of one part of three impels fructification of all other parts. This realization for a moment is the association of pure devotee. Like Sukadev Goswami prepared one complete life for eternity, and thus the sun failed to rob the pure devotee of his duration of life. In as much as he is constantly busy in the devotional service of a Lord, purification his existence. Death is a symptom of a material infection of an eternal living being. Only due to the material infection is the eternal living entity subject to the law of birth, death, old age, and the disease. The whole paragraph, Prabhu?
Yeah.
The materialistic way of pious activity like a charity is recommended in a Smriti Shastra as quoted by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Money given in a charity to a suitable person is guarantee bank balance in the next life. Such charity is recommended to be given to the Brahmanas. If a money is given in a charity to a non-Brahmana without a Brahmanical qualification, the money is returned in the next life in the same proportion. If it is given in a charity to the half-educated Brahmana, even then the money is returned double. If a money is given in a charity to learn and fully qualified Brahmana, the money is returned 100 and 1,000 times. And if the money is given to the Veda Paraga, one who has factually realized the path of the Vedas, it is written by unlimited multiplication. The unlimited end of the Vedic knowledge is realization of personality of a Godhead. Lord Krishna, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Vedas cha sarve aham eva vidyaha. There is a guarantee of money being returned if given in the charity, regardless of this proportion. Similarly, the moment passed in the association of a pure devotee by hearing and chanting the transcendental message of a Lord is a perfect guarantee for the eternal life. For returning home back to the Godhead, mad madhama gatva punah janma na vidyate. In other words, A devotee of a Lord is guaranteed eternal life. A devotee's old age or a disease in the present life is but an impetus to such guaranteed eternal life. Guaranteed eternal life.
So, some strong statements in the purport. Prabhupada explains a lot of points about charity. That when you give charity to a beggar, you get it back. So don't continue the cycle of birth and death. Rather, give charity in Krishna consciousness. Meaning, if you have the inclination to help poor, then offer bhoga at your home temple with like an uncut fruit like apple or orange or something, and carry that with you at your workplace, and during lunch hour give them prasad so that you are not entangled, and the prasad is also going to benefit the beggar. Prabhupada explains that life duration is decreased every moment. So if you actually visualize this statement, the point of our birth is the highest point. Every day afterwards, we are dying every day. So human life wasted in sense gratification rather than seeking permanent source of happiness is inappropriate use of the human facility. By devotional services, the doors to perfection is immediately opened. And Prabhupada gives an analogy. Just as a drug is injected intravenously, the drug starts working immediately. Similarly, Krishna Katha in devotee association, hearing through the ears, acts efficiently. Death is symptom of material infection. So summary is that human life should not be wasted, as is explained like dogs, hogs, donkey and camel analogies given. And Prabhupada has said this in few lectures also. Economic development is nonsense. Solution, what's the solution with the material problem? Solution is human life should be used in hearing Krishna Katha more and more. Analogy explained is just like a drug works via intravenously immediately. Similarly, hearing Krishna Katha in devotee association works immediately. Learn Srimad Bhagavatam and share this knowledge with others as the highest charity. Now, a question may come up that I don't have any inclination to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Then what do I do? So when such a regret comes to your heart, pray to Krishna for help in reading. So I might have heard a particular topic, but I forget. And therefore, when we revise and read again and again and again, at some point it shakes up my consciousness. So the reason to study Srimad Bhagavatam is to get taste of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. And this is the perfection of life. Therefore, all of us take a vow to keep up with this endeavor so that we can get more and more taste of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, more taste of associating with devotees, more taste for doing devotional services with like-minded devotees. Questions, comments, realizations? Matan Prabhu.
So humans have material infection. Does other living entity also have material infection?
Absolutely. If you go to India, where you find stray dogs, if you go near to a dog, he will bark at you. He will say, "No, this is my territory. Do not enter into my territory." Hey, Baba, you are a stray dog. Everybody has desires to enjoy differently. Therefore, there are 8.4 million life forms. Madan Prabhu.
Okay, thank you.
Now, about this no inclination to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, in the other batch, we have started this process that devotees from the classes, they meet offline once a week, generally for about 30 to 60 minutes, depending on the topic covered, and they discuss Bhagavatam among themselves. So whatever we discuss, they discuss, and they discuss the spiritual endeavor. And that way it becomes easier. So what this does is, although I am not a pure devotee, but I am creating an environment of pure devotion where these devotees, they meet, they don't do any gossip. They meet for some 30 some minutes, and they are only discussing Bhagavatam, the discussion that we had in the previous class. So generally most of these devotees, they meet Monday evenings, or some also Tuesday evenings. They discuss the Bhagavatam discussion of the Sunday that we discussed. Then they also discuss the spiritual endeavor, and they aim to complete the spiritual endeavor as soon as is possible after their discussion, or latest by end of day Wednesday. So you all can also consider this for yourself, that I am not a pure devotee, but by creating this pure environment, it becomes pure Krishna conscious activity. So you all can also consider and let me know, and I can create an offline group for you all, where in the other batch also what we have done is Vaishnavis are in Vaishnavi group and Vaishnavs are in Vaishnav groups. Although this batch is small. So let me know your thoughts, whether you are interested in discussing Bhagavatam in a pure environment. Questions, comments, realizations? Only Malti is interested to discuss offline, rest of you too entangled in material world. The thought is going through, I have to find more time for Bhagavatam? Oh no. All right. Think about it. Malti and Archana are ready. Rest of you can think about it. Divya, 18, translation and purport. Again, continue to see important points from the purport and see what you can apply.
Text 18, translation. Do the trees not live? Do the bellows of the blacksmith not breathe? All around us, do the beasts not eat and discharge semen? Purport. The materialistic man of the modern age will argue that life, or part of it, is never meant for discussion of theosophical or theological arguments. Life is meant for the maximum duration of existence, for eating, drinking, sexual intercourse, making merry and enjoying life. The modern man wants to live forever by the advancement of material science, and there are many foolish theories for prolonging life to the maximum duration. But the Srimad Bhagavatam affirms that life is not meant for so-called economic development or advancement of materialistic science with a hedonistic philosophy of eating, mating, drinking, and merrymaking. Life is solely meant for tapasya, for purifying existence so that one may enter into eternal life just after the end of the human form of life.
So remember this sentence at the end of purport paragraph number 1. Life is solely meant for tapasya, for purifying existence, that one may enter into eternal life just after the end of human form of life. We'll discuss this after we finish discussing chapter 3. Continue, Divya.
The materialists want to prolong life as much as possible because they have no information of the next life. They want to get the maximum comfort in this present life because they think conclusively that there is no life after death. This ignorance about the eternity of the living being and the change of covering in the material world has played havoc in the structure of modern human society. Consequently, there are many problems multiplied by various plans of modernized man. The plans for solving the problems of society have only aggravated the troubles. Even if it is possible to prolong life more than 100 years, advancement of human civilization does not necessarily follow. The Bhagavatam says that certain trees live for hundreds and thousands of years. At Vrindavana, there is a tamarind tree known as, this place is known as Imlitala, which is said to have existed since the time of Lord Krishna. In the Calcutta Botanical Garden, there is a banyan tree said to be older than 500 years, and there are many such trees all over the world. Swami Shankaracharya lived only 32 years, and Lord Chaitanya lived 48 years. Does it mean that the prolonged lives of the above-mentioned trees are more important than Shankara or Chaitanya? Prolonged life without spiritual value is not very important. One may doubt that the trees have life because they do not breathe, but modern scientists like Bose have already proved that there is life in plants. So breathing is no sign of actual life. The Bhagavatam says that the bellows of the blacksmith breathes very soundly, but that does not mean that the bellows has life. The materialist will argue that life in the tree and life in the man cannot be compared because the tree cannot enjoy life by eating palatable dishes or by enjoying sexual intercourse. In reply to this, the Bhagavatam asks whether other animals like dogs and hogs living in the same village with human beings do not eat and enjoy sexual life. The specific utterance of Srimad Bhagavatam in regard to other animals means that persons who are simply engaged in planning a better type of animal life, consisting of eating, breathing, and mating, are also animals in the shape of human beings. A society of such polished animals cannot benefit suffering humanity, for an animal can easily harm another animal but rarely do good.
So if you recall Yoga Ladder, I had this visual that human spending time in eating, mating, sleeping, defending, and no time for spirituality is also an animal, just in the shape of human beings. Comes right from Bhagavatam right here. So we read Prabhupada's purport is also again heavy and is almost like a sarcastic verse at the purport. That materialistic people argue life is meant for eating, mating, sleeping, and defending. There are foolish theories for prolonging life because they don't have information for next life. Life is not made for economic development. And Prabhupada says problems are multiplied by the so-called plans made by modern people. Prabhupada gives comparative examples of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shankaracharya, the trees, etc. that prolonged life without spiritual value is not important. Persons engaged in eating, mating, sleeping, defending like animals are just polished animals. Vimal Prabhu?
Krishna Prabhuji, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Prabhuji, so if the life is solely meant for tapasya, so why we are in Maya Jal, family, friends, work?
This is illusion. We'll cover this in Canto 3. Can't remember the chapter. The verse is number 4. Canto 3, verse number I remember. It's about what Maya Devi does. That Maya Devi has these two energies of deluding the soul in the material world by keeping the soul occupied in material activities as if this is everything. This is our illusion. Why we are in this material life is because we are in illusion. How much attachment we have for body. We'll soon discuss. As soon as these verses get over, we'll do a reality check for all of ourselves. Vimal Prabhu.
In the beginning, we do our japa, we do Harinam, and then again get back to material. And this cycle keep going, and it never ending.
So Lord Kapila has described in Canto 3 that if you do this little bit of devotional services and do not come to pure devotional level, then you will continue life after life after life after life in material world. Yes, you will do devotional services in all those lives, but you will continue to stay entangled in the material world. So yes, we have to start somewhere, that we do little bit of devotional services. So that is Bhakti Mishra Karma, meaning my karma part is more. But then we have to come to Karma Mishra Bhakti, where my Bhakti component is more. But what we all are doing is, we coming on the weekends, 2 hours, studying scriptures, and then we go back to our routine. We don't even have time to complete our spiritual endeavors. And then we are saying, well, I am in Maya. Are Baba, you are holding the tree. Tree is not holding you. Anybody? Is the tree holding you?
No, Prabhuji.
Rest of you, silence.
No, Prabhuji, but just a humble realization. This is such a difficult task. Yes, we are holding on to the tree, and then we're struggling and striving so hard to keep God at the center of our material existence. But we also learned, on the other hand, that the message is so powerful that someone who all their life lived a long life with no spirituality, but at the very end gets the grace of a devotee, listens to Prabhupada Japa, or at the very final moment, you know, surrenders to God, still achieves liberation, right? And then there are the rest of us who are endeavoring little by little. It's like we're climbing a mountain and we're still not getting there. So I was just thinking about that. Can you
So
elaborate?
we have discussed this point in Nectar of Devotion. Prabhupada has described that not endeavoring and wanting to get the mercy of a pure devotee at end of life is like not studying your degree course and wanting to get an honorary degree. Prabhupada says, yes, it is possible, but that is very rare. So do not wait to get an honorary degree, meaning do not wait to get perfection by getting mercy of a pure devotee at the end of life. That is very rare. What you have to do is to endeavor. That is the purpose of life. So don't use this as an excuse that, well, I will somehow remember Krishna. We have already discussed in 8.5 that trying to remember Krishna at the moment of death is very difficult. Therefore, acharyas have said, do not try to remember Krishna at the time of death, because death is very difficult, like 1,000 scorpions biting at the same time. Rather, what we have to do is to remember Krishna throughout our life by doing devotional services, by doing japa, by studying scriptures, so that there is a chance to remember Krishna at the end of the day, or at least Krishna will remember us. So Vimal Prabhu pointing out this point, but then my question is, Are Baba, what are you doing beyond these 2 hours of our classes? So what's the point in you asking this inquiry if you do not do anything more beyond these 2 hours of our class? Vimal Prabhu, Nitya, does that help?
Yes, Prabhu. I actually asked this because I had the fortune to see another very fortunate person who lived the whole life and was able to, at the end of it, get the benefit of the thing. No, personally, no, I understand. I keep endeavoring and try my best. But I just was able to see this, in practical happen. So it's a very rare moment, but it did happen to someone I know who had the mercy to listen to Prabhupada Japa at the very end, even though the person had no inkling or didn't want to turn towards spirituality, had lived a really long life. So I was just able to see that in my very own family. And so I was just thinking that, they are blessed. It was a rare moment, but blessed.
Yeah, so you are correct that they are blessed, and it's a rare opportunity to be blessed like this, but we cannot rely on that exception. So we discussed today also that we keep forgetting. One devotee also mentioned in the chat that I will read that, yes, my major problem is how to remember. I need more association. So when I asked or gave this option that how many of you want to have this pure Bhagavatam discussion environment, only 3 devotees said yes, Malti, Archana, and Gauri Prabhus. And then Vimal Prabhu is asking, then why are we engaged? Are Baba, but when I am giving you the option, where is your choice for wanting to do more devotional services beyond the 2 hours of this Bhagavatam discussion? Vimal Prabhu.
Question was, we are solely meant for tapasya. So why we given the chance or opportunity to go after desires, go after family? Why don't we just born and just do tapasya? Why we are indulged in this material? This is what I was referring.
Yeah, because 13.22 Bhagavad Gita. Anybody memorize 13.22? Wants to recite?
I could try, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Purusha prakriti stoki bhumte prakriti jankuna karana gunasanga asyo satyasa kyoni janmasi.
Very good. Bhumte, because we had desire. So we have come to material world to fulfill our desire. We have discussed this in Bhagavad Gita, very first class. What does contaminated consciousness mean? What does conditioned soul mean? And if you recall, Divya had answered right from the line from introduction. Divya wrote, many of you others also wrote, I am the Lord of all I survey. That's my consciousness. So we have come to material world because we had desires. And we have also discussed this in Canto 1, Chapter 5 and Chapter 6, that if somebody tells me to drop everything and just do pure devotional service, exactly what Vimal Prabhu is saying, that why not just do tapasya? It is not possible because I also have material desires. So we have to start with Bhakti Mishra Karma, where my karma portion is more. But then we have to come to the point of Karma Mishra Bhakti, where my Bhakti component increases. But we are all so very comfortable, 2 hours on the weekend. And then we go back to our routine. Messages, blah, blah, blah. 24 hours for Monday to Friday, or even after this 2 hours. So how are we going to come to Karma Mishra Bhakti? I gave the option. Only 3 devotees came forward that they want to discuss Bhagavatam offline. So we have come to material world because we had desires. But then Bhagavad Gita 9.33 says, having come to this miserable material world, you should engage in pure devotional service. But we are not doing what we are supposed to do. Vimal Prabhu, you want to read Bhagavad Gita 9.33 translation? Vimal Prabhu.
33 Prabhuji.
9.33 Bhagavad Gita.
How much more this is so far the righteous Brahmanas, the devotee, and the saintly kings. Therefore, having come to this temporary miserable world, engage in the loving service unto me.
Right? This is Krishna's direct instruction. Having come to this temporary miserable material world, engage in devotional services. But are we doing it? So Krishna has given instruction. It is for us to follow. We have to use our free will properly, but we are not doing it. Vimal Prabhu, does that help you? Or does something else?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
So all of you let me know at some point of time whether you are interested in having the offline Bhagavatam discussion, which becomes a pure environment. I am not pure. None of us are pure, but we are creating a pure environment surrounding Bhagavatam and Krishna. Then we get the association of the pure environment and we get purified. All right, let's continue. Let's read verse number 19, translation and purport. Nitya.
Yes, Prabhu. 19. Men who are like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses face those men who never listen to the transcendental pastimes of Lord Krishna, the deliverer from evil.
Purport. Faster pace.
Okay, Prabhu. The general mass of people, unless they are trained systematically for a higher standard of life and spiritual values, are no better than animals, and in this verse they have particularly been put on the level of dogs, hogs, camels, and asses. Modern university education practically prepares one to acquire a doggish mentality with which to accept the service of a greater master. After finishing a so-called education, the so-called educated persons move like dogs from door to door with applications for some service, and mostly they are driven away, informed of no vacancy. As dogs are negligible animals and serve the master faithfully for bits of bread, a man serves the master faithfully without sufficient reward. Persons who have no discrimination in the matter of foodstuff and who eat all sorts of rubbish are compared to hogs. Hogs are very much attached to eating stools. So stool is the kind of foodstuff for a particular type of animal. And even stones are eatable for a particular type of animal or bird. But the human being is not meant for eating anything and everything. He is meant to eat grains, vegetables, fruits, milk, sugar, etc. Animal food is not meant for the human being. For chewing solid food, the human being has a particular type of teeth meant for cutting fruits and vegetables. The human being is endowed with 2 canine teeth as a concession for persons who would eat animal food at any cost. It is known to everyone that one man's food is another man's poison. Human beings are expected to accept the remnants of food offered to Lord Sri Krishna, and Lord accepts foodstuff from the categories of leaves, flowers, fruits, etc. Bhagavad Gita 9.26. As prescribed by Vedic scriptures, no animal food is offered to the Lord. Therefore, a human being is meant to eat a particular type of food. He should not imitate the animal to derive the so-called vitamin values. Therefore, a person who has no discrimination in regard to eating is compared to a hog. The camel is the kind of animal that takes pleasure in eating thorns. A person who wants to enjoy a family life or the worldly life of so-called enjoyment is compared to a camel. Materialistic life is full of thorns, and one should live only by the prescribed method of Vedic regulation just to make the best use of a bad bargain. Life in the material world is maintained by sucking one's own blood. The center point of attraction for material enjoyment is excitement. To enjoy it, it's like to suck one's own blood, and there is not much more to be explained in this connection. The camel also sucks his own blood while chewing thorny twigs. The thorns the camel eats cuts the tongue of the camel, and so blood begins to flow within the camel's mouth. The thorns mix with the fresh blood create a taste for the foolish camel, and he enjoys the thorn-eating business with false pleasure. Similarly, the great business magnates, industrialists who work very hard to earn money by different ways and considerable means, eat the thorny results of their actions mixed with their own blood. Therefore, the Bhagavatam has situated these diseased fellows along with the camels. The ass is an animal who is celebrated as the greatest food. Even amongst the animals, the ass works very hard and carries burdens of the maximum weight without profit for itself. The ass is generally engaged by the washerman whose social position is not very respectable, and the special qualification of the ass that is very accustomed to being kicked by the opposite sex. When the ass begs for sexual intercourse, he is kicked by the fair sex, yet he still follows the female for such sexual pleasure. A henpecked man is compared therefore to the ass. The gender mass of people work very hard, especially in the age of Kali. In this stage, the human being is actually engaged in the work of an ass, carrying heavy burdens and driving tela and rickshaw. The so-called advancement of human civilization has engaged a human being in the work of an ass. The laborers in great factories and workshops are also engaged in some burdensome work, and after working hard all day, the poor laborer has to be kicked by the fair sex, not only for sex enjoyment, but also for so many household affairs. So Srimad Bhagavatam's categorization of the common man without any spiritual enlightenment into the society of dogs, hogs, camels, and asses is not at all an exaggeration. The leaders of such ignorant masses of people may feel very proud of being adored by such a number of dogs and hogs, but that is not very flattering. The Bhagavatam openly declares that although a person may be a great leader of such dogs and hogs described as men, if he has no taste for being enlightened in the service of Krishna, such a leader is also an animal and nothing more. He may be designated as a powerful, strong animal or a big animal, but in the estimation of Srimad Bhagavatam, he is never given a place in the category of men on account of his atheistic temperament. Or in other words, such godless leaders of dogs and hog-like men are bigger animals with qualities of animals in greater
Pretty strong words in the purport. Prabhupada says, unless one is trained for higher spiritual standards, he is no better than animal. Modern education preparing one to acquire doggish mentality, because modern education is focused on how to earn money and how to enjoy the money, how to enjoy the senses. Modern education is not helping anyone to get out of this material entanglement. So 2 canine teeth are a concession for those who eat animals, but is not meant for all to eat animals. Somebody who does not have discrimination in eating is considered a hog. It's not an exaggeration in Srimad Bhagavatam. The example of camel eating thorns is compared like a material life is full of thorns. But we are getting entangled. Therefore, the solution is to make the best use of this bad bargain. The human body is a bad bargain. Make the best use of it. Because even though it's a bad bargain, human body is still capable of taking you back home, back to Godhead. So those who earn money by illegal means, they are eating thorns. So-called advancement of human civilization has engaged humans to work like asses. But all these purports are very, very strong. Still, look at our attachments that we have. Verses 20 to 22, we have discussed these points many times as to what happens when the senses are not used in Krishna's service. They are straightforward points. Gauri, 20 to 22 translations.
Verse 20. One who has not listened to the messages about the prowess and marvelous acts of the personality of Godhead, has not sung or chanted loudly the worthy songs about the Lord, is to be considered to possess ear holes like the holes of snakes and a tongue like the tongue of a frog. Verse 21. The upper portion of the body, though crowned with a silk turban, is only a heavy burden if not bowed down before the personality of Godhead, who can award mukti, freedom. And the hands, though decorated with glittered bangles, are like those of a dead man, if not engaged in the service of the personality of Godhead, Sri Hari. Verse 22. The eyes which do not look at the symbolic representations of personality of Godhead Vishnu, his forms, names, quality, etc., are like those printed in the plumes of the peacock. And the legs which do not move to the holy places where the Lord is remembered are considered to be like tree trunks. Hare Krishna.
So head becomes more heavy. Then how to lessen the weight of the heavy head? Solution is take dust of pure devotees. Means serve pure devotees. Serve devotees and pure devotees. So Sonaka Rishi is saying, what is the use of this body if it is not used in service? And there were so many examples given, the useless utilization of senses in these verses. So instead of, say, at your workplace, you're using the work computer or work phone for yourself, say browsing internet or watching movies, etc., you will have negative consequences at your workplace. Similarly, body and senses belong to Krishna. Krishna is Rishikesh. Therefore, we should utilize the body and senses in Krishna's service. But because we are misutilizing, well, then we have to face the consequences of Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. So what's the ultimate solution? Should engage in bhakti. Why the bhakti? Yeah, if you cannot become pure, or at least I am not pure. So initially we have to start with Vaidhi Bhakti. We have discussed Vaidhi Bhakti at great length in Nectar of Devotion, that we follow vidhis of scriptures, of spiritual masters. Try to do Vaidhi Bhakti more and more. Follow spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada and try to engage all senses all the time in Krishna's service. By engaging senses in service, we will get purified. Narad Muni has given this definition of pure devotional service. Tat paratvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevana. That when you engage the senses in service of master of senses, then your senses will get purified. Questions, comments, realizations? Madan?
The snakes have ear holes, but they cannot hear. Yes, the snakes can't hear.
So what's your question?
So they are compared to the humans, like that. Yeah. Snake holes.
The comparison of the analogy is misuse of your senses. Just giving an analogy.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
All right. Verses 23 to 25 are straightforward, and verse number 24 is a barometer that you can use for yourself. Chandran Prabhu, 23 to 25 translation.
Hare Krishna. 23 translation. The person who has not at any time received the dust of the feet of the Lord's pure devotee upon his head is certainly a dead body. And the person who has never experienced the aroma of the tulasi leaves from the lotus feet of the Lord is also a dead body, although breathing. Text 24. Certainly, the heart is steel framed, which, in spite of once chanting the holy name of the Lord with concentration, does not change when ecstasy takes place. Tears fill the eyes and the hairs stand on end. Text 25. O Sutta Goswami, your words are pleasing to our minds. Please, therefore, this to us as it was spoken by the great devotee Sukadeva Goswami, who is very expert in transcendental knowledge and who spoke to Maharaja Parikshit upon being asked. Hare Krishna.
So verse number 24, use it as a barometer for yourself. If your heart does not become soft after chanting, means your chanting is like taking a blank medical capsule. Who wants to read 24 translation again?
I can, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Text 24. Certainly that heart is steel framed, which, in spite of one's chanting the holy name of the God, Lord with concentration, does not change when ecstasy takes place. Tears fill the eyes and hairs stand on end.
Right? Anybody's heart is steel framed? My heart is steel framed. All right.
Prabhu, just a question. So that means we're still in the process of offensive chanting, right? That's what it says. That if we don't experience Baba, that means we still have a lot of offenses. Is that right?
You are correct. So there's a question on this coming up in the inquiry section, but you are absolutely correct. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of second canto, third chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Pure Devotional Service, the Change in Heart. Because of the title, the change in heart, is why we read verse number 24 again. That if I am chanting and I am not having the emotions, then my heart is steel framed. All right, spiritual endeavor questions. Number 1. What are the gains of worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead rather than the demigods? Comes from verses 9 to 12. Second is an analogy. As a highly potent drug injected intravenously acts at once on the body, on the whole body. Similarly, the transcendental topics of the Lord injected through the ears by hearing from pure devotee of the Lord can act very efficiently. Comes from verse number 17. So this verse number 17 analogy is that you have to hear from pure devotee. Well, I gave you the option. You can create a pure environment for yourself by the offline discussion. Third spiritual endeavor for next class, read Canto 2, chapter number 4. So chapter 4 is pretty straightforward chapter on prayers by Sukadeva Goswami. You can also read number 5. We'll see how it progresses. Read both chapter 4 and chapter 5. Chapter 5 has a lot of important discussions about creation. Questions, comments, realizations? All right, I will now bring up striking points on the screen first, and then I will answer inquiries. So you have 4 slides. This is slide number 1 of striking points. Take a snapshot. Slide 2. Three, and 4. All right, inquiries. Let me fix this first. All right, question number 1. Ravana worshipped Lord Shiva by offering severed heads. How could they possibly please Lord Shiva? We also read this statement today also in one of the purports or verses. So, in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, chapters 1 to 7, describe a lot of good qualities of Lord Shiva. So make note of this one very, very important verse is 4.4.12. So what I'll describe to you, it's not there in Bhagavatam. It comes from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary on Bhagavatam. Although the principle is described in 4.4.12, then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives more commentary, which I am describing. So make this note. So 4.4.12, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes 4 positive characteristics and 4 negative characteristics of people. The 4 positive characteristics are sadhu, mahatara, mahatma, and ati mahatma. I'll explain all these. Sadhu means he accepts the faults of others, since faults can eventually be transformed into good qualities. Mahatara overlooks the faults and just sees the good qualities. Mahatma takes small good qualities and magnifies those good qualities and does not see the faults. Ati Mahatma, he sees good qualities in others even where good qualities do not exist. And the opposite of these words are the 4 negative characteristics of asadhu, asadhutara, asadhutama, and ati asadhutama. So asadhu thinks someone's good qualities will turn into faults. Asadhutara sees only faults in others, overlooking good qualities. Asadhutama takes small faults and magnifies such small faults and ignores the good qualities. Ati asadhutama sees only faults in others even when there are no faults. Further in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 4, verses 14 to 16, describes that Shiva mercifully accepts even the most ignorant persons and gradually elevates them to spiritual consciousness. Shiva, as spiritual master, is merciful even to the most sinful. So Shiva is Ati Mahatma. Shiva sees good qualities in others even where good qualities do not exist. So if you only look at the one act of demons offering heads of dead people or whatever other sinful activities the demons do, then it will appear bewildering. So now you take the next step and see the good qualities of Shiva, that Shiva is merciful even to demons. Shiva only sees spiritual potential in demons and elevates demons to spiritual consciousness. If Shiva was pleased by demons' killings, then Shiva would not transform them to spiritual consciousness. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, Prabhu, it shows the magnanimous features of Lord Shiva. It highlights God's magnanimity.
Yeah, very good. Divya?
Prabhuji, could you just say what asadu means again?
A sadhu thinks someone's good qualities will turn into faults.
Thank you, Prabhuji. That's all.
By
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji just wanted to understand. So, Ravana got the blessings from Lord Shiva because of his tapasya and everything. Then, how come he ended up doing one mistake and everything is lost? Like,
So understand, Ravan is a special case. Ravan is actually one of the Jai Vijay from Vaikunta planet, that Jai Vijay workers. So this is described at great length in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, chapters 13 to 19, the story of Jai Vijay and Varahadev. That Jai Vijay did an offense. Well, of course, it was Lord's plan, because Lord had the desire to fulfill his fighting itch. But then in spiritual world, there is no one to fight. They are all devotees. So what does he do? He has to come to material world to fight. Well, even in material world, there is no one capable to fight with the Lord. Therefore, the Lord chose his own very dear pure devotees. This is described at great length. The Jai Vijay were very dear, are very dear to the Lord. And they still accepted the curse and the punishment. They said, okay, Lord, you want us to serve you as a demon? We'll serve you as a demon. So Jai Vijay are having this curse that they will take birth as demons in 3 lives. So Ravan and Hiranyakashipu is 1 life, not Hiranyakashipu, Kumbhakaran. Ravan and Kumbhakaran, then Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, and the third one is what's the one who got killed by the Sudarshan Chakra? Starts with an S.
Shishupal, Prabhu?
Yeah, Shishupal
Shishupal.
Shishupal, thank you. Shishupal and his brother. So these are special cases. You cannot really compare or use a philosophy for something specially designed to satisfy Lord by his special leela. So Ravan is also one of them. So they all fought with the Lord to satisfy Lord's desire, the fighting desire. Right?
Okay, Prabhuji, got it. Prabhuji, just one more question. So, Shishupal was killed because he was saying ill for
He
the
was
Lord
he
himself,
was
right?
envious. He was envious of the Lord. Yeah.
So, so the just trying to understand. So this is, uh, uh, I mean, saying ill for Lord and Lord killing him. I'm just trying to link how that mercy works. Like,
So it's not just that one time of saying ill to the Lord. There were actually 100
100, yeah.
sins that the Lord forgave. That last one in the assembly of Ashwamedh Yajna was the 100th one, and that's when the Lord kills. But all those were all Lord's Leela, that you will act as demons. It's not just Ravan or Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu fighting. I mean, speaking ill also Lord does not like. They described in Bhagavatam also that when you speak ill, Lord does not like those. Mike?
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
All right. This next question, number 2, what is Sandarbha? Now, Nitya, thank you. Nitya did want to answer this question, and I said that this question does not come from any of the scriptures that we have covered. So I'm going to answer it briefly just because the question is asked. So just understand at a high level. So just as Rupa Goswami has provided Laghu Bhagavatam as the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam, and Sanatan Goswami has provided Brihad Bhagavatam as the summary of Srimad Bhagavatam, which Parikshit Maharaj spoke to his mother Uttara as the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam just before leaving his body, because the mother missed hearing Srimad Bhagavatam directly from Sukadeva Goswami. Similarly, Jiva Goswami, the nephew of Rupa and Sanatan Goswami, is also a prominent acharya, very well known and very intelligent. Jiva Goswami has provided essence in his books titled Sat Sandarbha. The literal meaning of Sandarbha is to weave together, just as you weave cloth. So Sat in Sat Sandarbha refers to 6 titles. The 6 titles that Jiva Goswami has provided in his Sat Sandarbha are Tattva Sandarbha, Bhagavad Sandarbha, Paramatma Sandarbha, Krishna Sandarbha, Bhakti Sandarbha, and Preeti Sandarbha. Now this obviously is advanced subject matter. I have not read these Sandarbhas. Right now I'm only providing a very brief, simple, introductory, high-level explanation to this inquiry, what is Sandarbha? Does that help you?
Yes, thank you, Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Nitya, thank you for your endeavor. Last question for today. How to identify in which stage of chanting we are in, out of offensive chanting, cleansing stage chanting, and pure chanting stage. So we have discussed this in Nectar of Devotion. Right now I am definitely in offensive stage. Offensive stage is when I am doing offenses while chanting, such as being distracted while chanting. There are many more offenses we have discussed in Nectar of Devotion. Cleansing stage is I have little bit of taste. Offenses have almost stopped. This is very high important stage. Getting to this point is very hard, just as airplane is taking off, has lot of turbulence till it reaches cruising height. And then there is pure stage, means you are cruising. So offenseless chanting can get you liberation, but it is only pure chanting that will get you love of God. So offenseless chanting means I have no false ego. And symptoms of offenseless chanter from Shikshashtakam is that one thinks lower than the blade of grass, is tolerant than a tree, does not expect personal honor, and is prepared to give respects to others. Meaning, one, he is humble. Second, he is tolerant. Third, he is prideless. And fourth, he gives respect to others. At pure chanting stage, one does not stop chanting at 16 rounds of japa daily. No, he just continues to chant 24 hours. At pure stage, Krishna and Krishna's service is the only priority number one, always. Not sometimes Krishna is priority. No, Krishna is at pure stage. Krishna and Krishna's service is always priority number one. And we also read today in 2.3.24 that when you are chanting and tears do not roll from your eyes, you do not get ecstasy, means my heart is still steel framed. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Prabhuji,
Prabhu, then, sorry.
Mike, you have a question?
I have one more question. So lastly, you mentioned if if the tears don't come out, many times it does happen, like while chanting or remembering Lord, like you get emotional and the tears come out, but sometimes while yawning also that thing happens. So
Yeah. So it has to be consistently, right? Not once a while. There could be some other reason also that tears come out. It's good that tears come out, but not once a while. Constantly. If you are at a pure stage, then you are chanting constantly and you are constantly having that tears coming out. And you are constantly in ecstasy. It's not just the tears. Nectar of Devotion, chapter 17 and 18, we discussed the qualities of Bhava Bhakti. So one or more of those Bhava Bhakti symptoms should be evident at the pure stage. That's when you know you are at pure stage. Occasionally, yes, it's very good. But you have to, at pure stage, it's consistent. Right?
okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Nitya.
Yes, Prabhu, the only process is to continue chanting, and that will purify us to reach the offenseless chanting stage, correct?
Correct. So even though right now I am chanting with offenses, we still continue because it is offensive chanting that will lead me to first offenseless chanting and then to pure chanting. So chanting is not a waste. It's just that we have to recognize that I have a lot more anarthas. I have a little longer to go to. All right.
Prabhu, one follow-up, Prabhu. So
Yeah.
for the people who are just saying the holy name of the God just inadvertently, right? Do they also fall into, because we know that even when someone says the name once or twice, there is so much power in the mantra. Like, some people say, I don't chant Hare Krishna mantra. I don't do Hare Krishna mantra. Like that. They also get some benefit, right? Even if they say that.
Yeah, they also get some benefit for sure. But the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is so powerful. And This is explained with the Ajamil pastime, that Ajamil called out for his son who he named as Narayan. He was not calling out for the Lord. And the learning from Ajamil pastime is that inadvertently calling out Lord's name, the Lord's name is so powerful that Ajamil still got delivered. That when the Yamadutas came to drag Ajamil for punishment, the Vishnu Dutas came and saved, saying, no, he called out for Narayan, so you cannot take him. We Vishnu Dutas will protect him. Nitya?
Yes, Prabhu gives us an impetus why we need to chant, because it's so powerful that it's such a strong impetus. Thank you.
Very good. Very good impetus. Archana?
Prabhuji, you were saying that means when you do chanting and you don't do with love, so you get liberated, but you don't get Krishna's love. So liberation and Krishna love is similar only, no, Prabhuji?
Not necessarily. Liberation, you can be anywhere else in the world, in the existence, right? Krishna's love means you are engaged in pure devotional service. So liberation, there are 5 kinds of liberation. It's described in, should be, verse number is 13, Canto 3, should be 3.9.13. I have explained this previously. So liberation on itself does not mean you are engaged in pure devotional service. Now somebody gets impersonal liberation. Jnanis also get liberation. They go to Brahman effulgence. That is not Krishna's service.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, yes, Prabhuji.
So I have a question for you all. How do you all know that you are progressing or not, and progressing in the right direction on spiritual path? Somebody quickly.
By measuring.
What you are measuring? How you are measuring?
Like we can measure, like if we have done 16 rounds every day at least, and then how much we have read.
Okay, very good. Rest of you, how do you know you are progressing or not, or progressing in the right direction?
Prabhu, when we're faced with challenges, how we respond, how we did before and how we are now. And when we're faced with these challenges in our life, in our material world, and that's how
Okay.
we can see.
Vimal?
My own self, that what I was before and which path I'm going now, that's how I see.
Yeah, but how do you know that you are consistently progressing? Yes, you are better than what you were before, that I understand, but how do you know that you are not stuck where you are?
With
Malti?
the gradual progress, Prabhuji.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm asking. How do you know you are progressing?
Prabhuji, before were once a while japa, now daily japa.
Okay, very good.
And add on other spiritual reading and asking questions and sangat association. All that is part of progression.
Okay, very good. Malti?
Following scriptures, and internally your heart should tell you to do more spiritual things.
Okay, very good. So all of you are on the right track.
Can I try?
Yeah, Archana, go ahead.
Yeah, by not doing Prajalpa.
Okay, very good. So I have on screen Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 8. This is Dhruv Maharaj pastime. So Dhruv Maharaj is 5-year-old and he's doing austerities to attain perfection. So Dipanshu Prabhu will read 4.8 from 71 to 77 translations, and we'll discuss as to what is the learning that Prabhupada has explained from Dhruv Maharaj pastime. Dipanshu?
Hare Krishna. Text 71. Elsewhere, Dhruv Maharaj, having arrived at Madhuvana, took his bath in the river Yamuna and observed fasting in the night with great care and attention. After that, as advised by the great sage Narada, he engaged himself in worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 72. For the first month, Dhruv Maharaj ate only fruits and berries on every third day, only to keep his body and soul together, and in this way he progressed in his worship of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 73. In the second month, Dhruv Maharaj ate only every 6 days, and for his eatables, he took dry grass and leaves. Thus, he continued his worship. Text 74. In the third month, he drank water only every 9 days. Thus, he remained completely in trance and worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is adored by selected verses. Text 75. In the fourth month, Dhruv Maharaj became a complete master of breathing exercise, and thus he inhaled air only every 12th day. In this way, he became completely fixed in his position and worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 76. By the fifth month, Maharaj Dhruv, the son of the king, had controlled his breathing so perfectly that he was able to stand on only one leg, just as column stands, without motion, and concentrate his mind fully on the Parabrahma. Text 77. He completely controlled his senses and their objects, and in this way he fixed his mind, without diversion to anything else, upon the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare
So
Krishna.
we'll read the purport, and Prabhupada explains that these are the austerities, or these are the level of austerities required, that Dhruv Maharaj did all these austerities. But for us, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made it very simplified for us. Plus, Srila Prabhupada simplified for us even more. Chant 16 rounds of japa daily, honor prasadam, study scriptures, do devotional services. And if we are not able to do this simplified processes, then what's the chance? So here's 72 purport where Prabhupada explains what I just described. Dipanshu, read purport 72.
Kapitha is a flower which is known in Indian vernacular as Kayeta. We do not find an English equivalent for the name of this flower, but its fruit is generally not accepted by human beings. It is eaten by the monkeys in the forest. Dhruv Maharaj, however, accepted such fruits, not for luxurious feasting, but just to keep his body and soul together. The body needs food, but a devotee should not accept foodstuff to satisfy the tongue and sense gratification. It is recommended in Bhagavad Gita that one should accept as much food as necessary to keep the body fit, but one should not eat for luxury. Dhruv Maharaj is an acharya, and by undergoing severe austerities and penances, he teaches us how one should execute devotional service. We must carefully know the process of Dhruv Maharaj's service. How severely he passed his days will be shown in later verses. We should always remember that to become a bona fide devotee of the Lord is not an easy task, but in this age, by mercy of Lord Chaitanya, it has been made very easy. But if we do not follow even the liberal instruction of the Lord Chaitanya, how can we accept to discharge our regular duties in devotional service? It is not possible in this age to follow Dhruv Maharaj in his austerity, but the principles must be followed. We should not disregard the regulative principles given by our spiritual master, for they make it easier for the conditioned soul. As far as our ISKCON movement is concerned, we simply ask that one observe the fourth prohibitive rules, chant 16 rounds, and instead of indulging in luxurious eating for the tongue, simply accept prasad offered to the Lord. This does not mean that without fasting, the Lord should also fast. The Lord should be given foodstuffs which is as nice as possible. But we should not make it a point to satisfy our own tongue. As far as possible, we should accept simple foodstuff just to keep the body and soul together to execute the devotional service. Hare Krishna.
Right, so Prabhupada said, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has made it so simple for us. And if we are not able to follow the simple processes, then how much chance we have for advancing? So from the many spiritual endeavor questions, generally I only give you 2 to 4 questions every week. So such simplified process, if we are not able to follow or unable to be consistent, then we have to judge what is the chance of going back to Godhead. My point of this discussion is that if you do not know whether you are progressing or not, then how will you rectify yourself? And the solution is to maintain a sadhana card. I have it on the screen. It will take you less than a minute every day to maintain this sadhana card for your respective day. And whatever you are missing, the sadhana card will automatically curl. I will show you a demonstration. So say you are chanting 2 rounds, but on one day you chanted only 1. Well, it will color for you. Say later on, you decide, okay, now I am 4 rounds. Okay, if you do 4, nothing wrong. If you do 5, nothing wrong. But then you miss again, well, it will color you and it will give you a chart of what all you missed. So this way you will know whether you are progressing or not. And I'm only demonstrating one, but the sadhana card is meant for chanting, reading, listening to lectures, and then our Bhakti Vix classes. So we have Gauri and Matan Prabhu is also present for our spiritual master. We also submit every day sadhana card to a spiritual master, and spiritual master looks at it. I got a message from my spiritual master, what's going on? So unless you maintain a sadhana card, just verbalizing that I am doing so and so, well, are you completing the spiritual endeavors? It's not. Yes, you all are better, significantly better than materialistic people. But if you don't progress, Lord Kapila has described in Canto 3, that if you do this little bit of devotional services, you will continue your material life existence, life after life after life, but you will never go back to Godhead. So I'm just trying to push you further. We have discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam that Srila Prabhupada's advice is that last 15 to 20 years of your life, we should exclusively keep it for Krishna conscious activities. So if my aim towards retirement is to meet friends and family and to travel at the cost of not doing spiritual endeavors on time, then ask yourself, how am I following Srila Prabhupada and Srimad Bhagavatam's instructions? Am I just verbalizing? So all those who are interested seriously in getting to see what their progress is, you can get this sadhana card from me, or at least aim to have the sadhana card from the new year. At least make a resolution. You can start right away. You don't have to wait. It takes you just a minute every day, and you will know whether my sadhana card is very colorful or not. And my last point for today is that on the Google form, I have turned on the feature for you all to enter your email so that you get a copy of your submission. And then at the subsequent class, from the slides, you can compare to see what all edits I have done for your submission. So it is possible that initially the Google form response may go to your junk or spam folder. So as soon as you hit submit, check your junk or spam folder and make it that this is not spam, and then it will come to your email inbox correctly. I'm hoping there are a lot of thinkings that you all have to do. There are a lot of action items that you all have to do. Thank you all for tolerating some 10 extra minutes. We'll stop here. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Krishna, thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, thank you.